Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I just got back from Cousin Fun Day, and we are supposed to get some snow here in the next hour. It's actually dropped 10 or 15 degrees just in the last couple hours. It's very cold outside, it's very wintry. And so I'm trying to finish up some videos. I filmed some videos before I went on Cousin Fun Day today, and so I thought, well, I'm gonna do a meditation video and read some meditations to you guys, and then get real cozy and take an afternoon, early evening nap, and then watch some shows tonight, light some candles, and get real cozy tonight. So I thought that I would read a meditation or two to get myself all ready for this evening. All right, so I brought the Melody Beatty books with me, The Language of Letting Go and Journey to the Heart, my two favorite meditation books of life. I thought that we would go in here. It's December 11th, so I thought we would go in here and see what the meditations are. Now, I haven't read from either one of these in a couple days, so I might be able to pick from the last couple days if I do not like. Oh, look, it pulled right to my sobriety birthday is next Tuesday. Nurturing ourselves is the meditation for that day. Okay, today's meditation is about affirmations. All right, that might be a good one. The one from yesterday is empowerment. The 9th is asking for help. Valuing our needs. Okay, those are all good ones. Let's go into the journey to the heart and see what that one is. Maybe it's one that'll stick out to me. Okay, it opened right to December 10th. Heal from past betrayals. Claim your own life, December 9th. Let's see what December 10th, 11th is. Make time to play. I want to read Heal from Past Betrayals. I think that might be a good one. I think that's something that we probably all relate to, is when we felt like we have been betrayed in life, you know? In romantic situations, work situations, family situations, friendships, things like that. So let's read this. December 10th, this is from yesterday. Heal from past betrayals. Healing from betrayal is connected to healing and opening the heart. Many of us have become quite skillful at denying feelings of betrayal, ignoring those situations when we not only feel betrayed, we truly have been betrayed. Life happens. Sometimes people do things that hurt us. People may have let us down, not protected us. Wow, that's a big one. People may have deceived us. We live in a world with people who have a lot of issues. We live in a world that moves fast and isn't always kind, just, or fair. We may be moving so fast that we gloss over situations where we have been betrayed. Things just weren't right. The numbers don't add up. If we haven't dealt with past betrayals, if we haven't cleansed and healed those break lines on the heart, we won't be able to deal with the betrayals going on right now. Wow, that's big. The part of our hearts that's sensitive to betrayal has been numbed, sometimes damaged because it hasn't been allowed to heal. We may stay in situations much longer than it's good for us to do. We may not speak up when we need to. We may quietly stand there saying, that's just how people are. And so our heart breaks. Our hearts break a little more, and we go a little more numb. And that beautiful, precious part of ourselves, our heart, closes. Not just to the person betraying us, but to all the beauty in life. Yes, sometimes that's just the way life is, but we don't need to stand there and keep letting life do that. We can open our hearts by healing those break lines. We can keep it open by being vulnerable and safe enough to feel, express, and take whatever actions our hearts lead us to when betrayal occurs. The head is connected to the heart. This connection is important. Healing betrayal will help keep that connection clear. This is a really fantastic meditation. I don't know that I've ever read this meditation on here before and covered it. This is a really, really good one. I want to get into something that it says. I think, like I said before I read this meditation, as I'm reading this meditation, like I read any meditations just to myself or on video, I'm always like, this is what I love about the meditations, is it kind of like prompts. They're really like thinking prompts. You know, like when you get a journal, it has like writing prompts in there. Daily affirmations and meditations for me are kind of like thinking prompts. They're like, what things could I be working on right now? What things do I need to think about? Even with like therapy, like what things do I need to take to my therapist, my sponsor in recovery? What things could I be working on right now that I'm not working on? And it's interesting because I think about betrayal and I align it very closely with resentments. When in recovery, we talk about resentments being the number one offender, that they're the thing that are going to get us back to using quick enough if we have resentments. And it's interesting when it goes in here at the beginning. Hold on a second, let me get my glasses on. And it says, many of us have become quite skilled at denying feelings of betrayal, ignoring those situations when we not only feel betrayed, we truly have been betrayed. Life happens. Sometimes people do things that hurt us. People may have let us down, not protected us. Now, this is really huge for me because as somebody that grew up being bullied, I was hurt just as much by the people that didn't want to stand up for me or didn't want to get involved, because as I got older, what I realized was if you weren't with me, you were against me, is how I felt. If you were going to stand there and be silent, I felt like you were complicit in it too, because you were allowing that to happen. I still feel like that today. I feel like evil flourishes, like the quote that I love, that evil flourishes when good men do nothing. I think that when people stand by and they don't say, I'm not going to let you speak to somebody that way, whether that's in your home and you say to your partner, I'm not going to let you talk to our child that way, or you say to your sibling, I'm not going to let you talk to mom or dad that way, or you stand up for yourself and you say, to your partner, your friend, coworker, or whatever, I'm not going to be spoken to that way, and somebody says, yeah, I don't think that that's right. Like, there's other ways to say that. I think one of the things that we need to be taught in elementary school that we really aren't anymore is how to speak to one another. I think we lose that as we get older, right? And I think control comes in, and then we become demanding, and we think that our way is the only way, and so we speak to people thinking that our way is the only way, or people speak to us, and then when we don't get what we want, or other people don't get what we want, it feels like a betrayal, right? Betrayal also feels like when people cheat on us, when people break up with us, when people don't meet our expectations. And this is where I wanted to get to, is that for me, I have learned that a resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. A resentment is when somebody or something didn't measure up to how I thought it would be. When I had a friend or a family member or a romantic partner that did something that didn't align with how I thought it would be, okay? For example, if somebody breaks up with you and you think, oh, well, I thought we were going to be together forever. Or they say something to you, or they snap at you in a way, or they cheat on you, or they don't go along with something that you want to do, or they challenge you. It's like, I think at the holidays, it's like, that's a big time, right? Like agreeing to do this. I mean, I'm thankful for that my husband and I are like, we go to his family's house for Christmas Eve, my family's house for Christmas Day, and, some people come to both places, and, and we don't really argue about that stuff. And it's interesting because, like, I look back on our early relationship before we got into marriage counseling, and a lot of the things that, I don't even know that they were necessarily, they felt like arguments, but it was that we just didn't agree on things, or he would want different things than I would, or I wouldn't want different things than I would want, right? But like if we were talking about taking a trip or going out on a Saturday night or for dinner, but then that felt like a betrayal at times, because it felt like, well, you don't ever, like picking a place for dinner, I've used this as an example for a long time. If you've ever had this argument with your partner before, what do you want for dinner? I don't care, okay? And that person says, okay, well, why don't we get pizza? I don't want pizza. Well, what do you want? Because you said pick, and I picked pizza. Okay, I don't know, but anything but pizza. Okay, well, what about Chinese? Not Chinese either. Well, you know what? I'm not going to pick. You pick. My husband and I, we had this conversation 30 times before we ever got into marriage counseling, And then they'd be like, I don't care. Then you pick. If you're going to be like, say, for me to pick, and then I pick, and then you don't want to pick, then pick. Well, I don't feel like you're really listening to me. I always have to pick. Don't you want to pick? No, I don't want to pick because it's just going to cause a fight. Well, fine. Then I'll get what I want, then you get what you want, and then we won't eat dinner together, and then we can just do our own separate things. Okay, then let's just do our own separent things, and then we'll just sit here and we won't order dinner together. And then that turns into, this is the fights that my husband and I had our first 2 to 3 years together, And then that turns into, well, you don't really care about me. You never listen to me. If you really listen to me, what do you mean I don't listen to you? You don't listen to me. You don't love me. This went both ways, right? And then that feels like a betrayal. And so asking somebody, you pick what you want for dinner tonight, and then saying pizza, and instead of saying, when we usually say that, we usually have some kind of idea in our head what we already want anyway. So I think, one of the things that marriage counseling has taught us is really, a new way to communicate to each other. Ask for what you need. Ask for what you want, right? And say, hey, pick anywhere that you want, but I do not want Chinese or pizza. And then they go, okay, how about Cheesecake Factory? Cheesecake Factory it is, let's do it. And then you eliminate the argument. Or you say, hey, I want to go out to dinner tonight. Why don't we go to Chinese? You want Chinese? And they say, no, they don't want Chinese. Okay, well, where would you like to go? I'm really wanting pizza tonight. Okay, you know what? We did Chinese last time. Let's do pizza tonight. It's a lot about negotiation. But you have to learn to communicate with each other. If you don't, those small arguments, whether they're in a romantic relationship like I just described, a work relationship, maybe you feel like your coworker doesn't acknowledge the work that you did, or that you helped them out with a situation, and then you borrow that resentment, and that builds up, and that resentment ends up turning into, you feel like when it happens 1, 2, or 3 times, or they didn't help you with something, but they helped somebody else with it, and you feel like Am I not worthy of it? And then that feels like a betrayal. That can happen in families too, with siblings, Mom does A, B, and C, and D for so-and-so, for Sally, but for me, Mom hasn't done anything. That feels like a betrayal. Why do mom and dad go overboard for Sally and John, but I never get that? I hear that from all my friends that have siblings. I've heard it for 40 years of my life from my friends that have siblings. Everybody's treated differently. That can feel like a betrayal. A betrayal is really a resentment that you're not really willing to let go of. And I was taught that a resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. When I thought that my romantic partner should easily pick a place that he knows that I want to go to dinner. I have this idea in my head of what I want to do, and then he should just know that and pick it. Or when my mom and dad, if I have siblings, should treat us each equally across the board, which is completely impossible. Or that coworkers are going to treat everybody equally, or friend groups are, that friend groups are going to treat everybody equally. That's not how life is. And I think that we equate that, like Melody Beatty was saying, to, well, that's just life. Well, there's some things that I think are easily explained as that's just life. And then I think there's some betrayals, that are so heavy on our heart that are real. I think we look for excuses to excuse other things away. I think we can all admit, okay, that getting in an argument with your partner over where you're going to go to dinner for the night is probably not a valuable argument that you want to hold on to, right? That being said, do I have friends of mine that have siblings that were treated differently by their parents, and they've held on to that for 30 years, and that was real for them, that they really were treated differently by their parents for whatever reason? Maybe they and their sister or they and their brother have a different, parent on one side. Yes, I think that's very real. I think they have some very real feelings about that, Or maybe two coworkers are completely treated differently by a supervisor. Or maybe in a friend group, some people are treated differently and somebody always feels on the outside, There are, maybe there's 3 people that are always invited and 1 person that's never invited. That can feel isolating. That can feel like a betrayal. And I think those things really are betrayals that we don't just write off as, well, that's just life, There are some things, and especially as I get older, like my friend Tanya always says to me, as you get older, the road narrows. There are things that I was willing to write off 20, 30 years ago that were just life that I'm not willing to write off today. You know what I mean? My husband and I, we hardly ever argue anymore, but we haven't had that argument. It's for dinner and forever. But let's just say if we did, that's just life kind of argument to me today. But if I had an argument with a friend of mine that I'm trying to just make up something. I can't even think of anything. This is the other thing, too, is that, in all honesty, I don't like to cuss on this channel, but, I got to a point about 10 years ago where I was like, I'm not putting up with BS in my life anymore, right? I'm just not. And people shouldn't put up with it from me. And so I want to have relationships in my life that are reciprocal. I want my romantic relationship with my husband to be reciprocal. It doesn't have to be equal. I don't think any relationship is 100% equal. I just don't. I don't think you're ever going to be on the same page. I think some days one friend gives more than the other. One coworker gives more than the other. One sister gives more than the other. I don't think it's ever completely equal. But I think that it should be reciprocal, where you feel like you're not always giving and never getting, or always getting and never giving. I think it should be somewhat reciprocal. And so 10 years ago, around that time, it was about the time that I came back to meetings, going back to meetings. So I guess it was 13, 14 years ago. And 12, 13, 14 years ago, I don't know. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not going to have relationships in my life where they're not reciprocal, where if I'm showing up for somebody and they're not showing up for me, I'm not having those relationships anymore, I want to have the best marriage that I possibly can have. I want to put everything into it and know that I have a partner that's putting everything into it as well. And my husband and I both do that. He puts so much into it and I put so much into it. That's why we have the marriage that we have today. With my friendships that I want to have friendships in my life today where I'm putting a lot into it and they're putting a lot into it, and therefore we have great friendships because we're both getting a lot out of it. I want to have family relationships the same way. I want to show up for people the way that people are showing up for me. And I want reciprocal relationships in my life. I don't want to sit, at 52, almost 53 years old, with feeling like I have betrayal in my heart because of what somebody did to me 10 years ago, and then show up and be like, hi, how are you? I'm done with those days. I don't know how many days I have left here. I don't want to waste them having fake relationships with people that I just feel like I have to have those relationships. I don't have to have those relationships. I don't. And if I have betrayal or resentments in my heart, that's mine to work through. By either working through what my issues are that I hold on to, or why I won't take it to that person and have that conversation. And if I choose to take it to that person and say, hey, listen, I feel really hurt by past actions that happened, okay? And I'm really resentful about it, and I feel betrayed. And if that person is not willing to listen to me or work with me through it, then maybe that's a relationship that's not worth having today. And if somebody comes to me and says, my feelings are really hurt, blah, 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 whatever, about something that happened or something that was said, you know, and I'm not willing to listen to them, then I need to evaluate, what does that friendship mean to me? Because I'm sure they're looking at it going, what does that friendship mean to me? And if I want that from other people, if I want to be able to go to other people, and like I said, my circle is so small today that the people that I have in my life, like I was just talking to my best friend about this last night. We were on our way home from a meeting. The people that I have in my life today, we have real ass conversations, okay? So if something comes up, we're gonna go to one another and be like, okay, this hurt my feelings, or I haven't heard from you in a week, why is this, and whatever. Oh, I'm sorry, I just got busy, like I won't let that happen again. Okay, you know, whatever. And if somebody comes to me, same thing, right? If I want somebody to be open enough that if I come to them, then I have to be that in return. I have to be the friend I want to have. I have to be the husband I want to be married to. I have to be all of that, you know? You have to be what you want to get. And you can't get that by having betrayal and resentment in your heart. It just doesn't work. Anyway, I think that was a great meditation, especially going into the holidays and thinking about that, because I think so many of us feel like we have to spend holidays with people that we have resentments and betrayals with. I'm telling you right now, when I say this, people be like, well, how do you do that? You just say no. You know, you do not have to spend holidays. You don't have to sit next to somebody you don't want to sit next to. I said this not too long ago, and somebody left a comment on one of my videos. I don't know if it was my vlog or over here, and they said that they went to Thanksgiving and they didn't sit at a table that they knew that they were going to get into an argument with somebody. And because I had said something about that in a video, like you don't have to sit at that table. And like they got some stares, but they had a much better time because they did that. You can choose what table you sit at. You can choose what rooms you enter. You can choose what conversations you enter. And you can choose how long you stay, or if you stay at all, or if you even go. That's up to you. That's taking control back in your life. When somebody starts saying something to you, and you're like, you know, I'm not, maybe in a work environment it's a little bit different, because you have to have your job, right? But if you're in a family situation or a friend situation and somebody starts patronizing you or talking to you in a way that you don't like, you can stop them and say, listen, I'm not going to be talked to that way. Okay, I don't know if maybe you're in a bad space today, but this hurts my feelings to be talked to that way. If that person doesn't like, you have a right to walk away. I do today. If I have anybody in my personal life that speaks to me in a way that I don't like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. And I'll say, you know what? We can talk when you want to speak to me in a way that I feel like I deserve to be spoken to. I don't speak to people that way in my personal life today, and if I did, I hope they check me quickly. And then I need to say, well, I didn't even realize I was talking that way. I want to get what I give, and I want to give what I get. I want to be what I'm looking for, you know? And I want to find what I'm giving off as well. And I think that we all want that, don't we? This is all about setting boundaries. We only have so many days to spend on this earth. I do not want to spend days feeling like I have to sit next to somebody that I don't want to sit next to at a place that I don't want to be to begin with. Just something to think about. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.